Hi there everyone, how you doing? It's Jeff C. It is Friday, March the 7th, and finding out some really crazy information here that has come to light regarding the one and only Adolf Hitler. Yes, indeed, as we were starting to learn about so many of the events that we are taught happened in a certain way, turn out to be quite different from the reality, and which is kept hidden from us for many, many years. Now there has been a release of information regarding Adolf Hitler, the investigation by the FBI into Hitler, which leads one to believe that indeed Adolf Hitler did not take his life along with Eva Braun at the end of World War II, with the Russians beating down on his bunker doors, basically. No, instead he fled, and the Russians helped get him out, probably with the aid of the British and Americans, to the Andes, and lived out his life comfortably. So let's take a look here at what I'm talking about here. Here's the FBI document that is several hundred pages long. Here's the synopsis of facts here. I'm going to try and blow this up a little bit. So, reports contact with Phonetic claims to have aided 6 top Argentine officials in hiding Adolf Hitler upon his landing by submarine in Argentina. Hitler reported to be hiding out in foothills of southern Andes. Information obtained by, a lot of this stuff is redacted, unable to be verified because of something disappearance, attempts to locate something negative, no record of him in police or in, I'm not sure, INS files there. FBI declassifies files showing Hitler did not die in Germany. Newly declassified FBI files prove that the government knew Hitler was alive and well, living in the Andes Mountains long after World War II. On April 30th, 1945, Adolf Hitler committed suicide in his underground bunker. His body was later discovered and identified by Soviets before being rushed back to Russia. Is it really possible that the Soviets have been lying all this time and that history was has been purposely rewritten? Yeah, it's extremely possible. I mean, if we look into the history, we're always given this whitewash about what happened at the end of the World War II, and that we had the Nuremberg trials, both though not really the heads of the German elite, people like Hitler, were never prosecuted, and this is kind of the deals that go on that the public is misled by, that these leaders of state, these international war criminals, some of the biggest criminals in the history of the world, are often given sweetheart deals and whisked away to some, foreign land to live out their life in peace. So the Intelligence Committee knew about this, and here they're showing the same article I was just showing here. And I'll read a little bit more into this. Recently, FBI documents are beginning to show that not only was Hitler and Eva Braun's suicide faked, the infamous pair might have had help from the director of the OSS himself, Alan Dulles. Dulles is a huge figure back then. In one FBI document from Los Angeles, it is revealed that the agency was well aware of a mysterious submarine making its way up the Argentinian coast, dropping off high-level Nazi officials. What is even more astonishing is the fact that the FBI knew he was, in fact, living in the foothills of the Andes. Who is the mysterious informant? In Los Angeles letter to the Bureau in August of 1945, as an unidentified informant agreed to exchange information for political assignment. What he told agents was stunning. The informant not only knew that Hitler was in Argentina, he was also, he was one of confirmed 4 men who had met the German submarine. Apparently 2 submarines had landed on the Argentinian coast, and Hitler with Eva Braun was on board the 2nd submarine. The Argentinian government not only welcomed the former German dictator, but also aided in his hiding. The informant went on to not only give detailed directions to the villages that Hitler and his party had passed through, but also credible physical details concerning Hitler. While obvious reasons the informant is never named in the FBI papers, he was credible enough to be believed by some agents. The FBI tried to hide Hitler's whereabouts. Even with a detailed physical description and directions, the FBI did not follow up on these new leads. Even with the evidence placing the German sub-U U-530 on Argentina coast shortly before finally surrounding, and plenty of eyewitness accounts of German officials being dropped off, no one investigated. Even more evidence found, along with the FBI documents detailing an eyewitness account of Hitler's whereabouts in Argentina. More evidence is coming to light to help prove that Hitler and Eva Braun did not die in that bunker. Interesting, interesting, interesting. I'm not the least bit surprised. In 1945, the naval attaché in Buenos Aires informed Washington there was a high probability that Hitler and Eva Braun had just arrived in Argentina. So even high up in the military naval command of Argentina, they were admitting this. This coincides with the sightings of the submarine U-530. Added proof comes from newspaper articles detailing the construction of a Bavarian-style mansion in the foothills of the Andes Mountains. Wow, isn't that amazing? You kill millions and you get to live out your life in peace. Well, that's the reality, isn't it? We're always told these wonderful tales that crime doesn't pay. Not if you're at the top of the pyramid. In fact, if you're at the top of the pyramid, it pays quite nicely, doesn't it? Further proof comes from the architect Alejandro Bustillo, who wrote about the design and construction of Hitler's new home, which he was financed by earlier wealthy German immigrants. Now we know this a lot. I mean, this is not debated. It's not debated that many of the top military commanders, people who were most wanted for war crimes in World War II from the German hierarchy, escaped to Argentina and to other places, Bolivia, who knows, right, throughout Latin America. They were just trying to get themselves as far off the map as possible, go someplace where they could live their lives in very good comfort. Perhaps the most damning evidence that Hitler did survive the fall of Germany lies in Russia. With the Soviet occupation of Germany, Hitler's supposed remains were quickly hidden and sent off to Russia, never to be seen again. Does that sound familiar? Osama bin Laden? That is until 2009, when archaeologist from Connecticut State, Nicholas Bellatoni, was allowed to perform DNA testing on one of the skull fragments recovered. What he discovered set off a reaction through the intelligence and scholarly communities. Not only did the DNA not match any recorded samples thought to be Hitler, they did not match Eva Braun's familiar DNA either. So the question is, what did the Soviets discover in the bunker, and where is Hitler? Even former General and President Dwight D. Eisenhower wrote to Washington. It was not only General Eisenhower's who was concerned over Hitler's complete disappearance. Stalin also expressed his concern. In 1945, the Stars and Stripes newspaper quoted the then General Eisenhower as believing that the real possibility existed of Hitler living safely and comfortably in Argentina. Is it possible? With all the newfound evidence coming to light, it's possible and even likely that not only did Hitler escape from Germany, he had help of the international intelligence community. Released FBI documents proved that they were not only aware of Hitler's presence in Argentina, but they were also helping covering it up. That would lead to some of the fascist governments that took over Argentina. It would not be the first time that the OSS helped a high-ranking Nazi officer to escape punishment and capture. Adolf Eichmann was located in Argentina in the 1960s. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Well, cool. It's interesting for sure. I looked up a little bit more here to see. There have been articles. This one's from 2011, I believe. Did Hitler and Eva Braun flee Berlin and die divorced of old age in Argentina? And you had some scholars here, some researchers who believe very strongly that this is true. and they map out his path here, leaving from Berlin to Tonder, Denmark, and then Travemünde, Germany, then to Spain, then to the Canary Islands, and then finally landing in Argentina. Shows you how much we can't trust our history books and these history programs and movies that come out. I don't think anybody trusts the movies these days. You got to be really stupid to trust the movies. But this book also claims that American officials were complicit in the escape in return for access to war technology developed by the Nazis. Yes, we know with Project Paperclip that they had brought over a lot of the Nazi scientists, and they also used them in the Manhattan Project to develop the atomic weapons. So much of our history is just lies, right? It really is. And then maybe when they figure it's not going to affect anybody, when everybody who was affected directly by Hitler is long since passed away, or pretty much. I mean, there's still some people still around. I still have relatives that fought in World War II that are still here. Pretty amazing. You know, then of course you get the naysayers. The two authors should be ashamed of themselves for peddling this kind of utter nonsense. It's simply unbelievable that publishers would give them the time of day. It's an absolute disgrace. There's no substance to it all, except all the FBI documents now that are being released. It appeals to deluded fantasies of conspiracy theorists and has no place whatsoever in historical fact. Yes, we could have got Cenk Uygur to say that out. Sounded like him. There have been thousands of theories over the year that Hitler might have escaped, but they are nothing more than parlor games. Really? Really? You know? Where's the evidence that he didn't escape? Where's his body? How comes the DNA samples from what they thought they had don't match up? Well, hell, what? You believe? You believe these pathological liars that run our governments? Here to go again. The evidence that Hitler was killed is simply overwhelming. For these authors to claim otherwise is simply staggering. Well, I wonder how you're going to feel today about all these FBI documents being released now. Mr. Walther conceded that the authors are right in stating that the skull taken by the Russian was not that of Hitler. He said, there are many people in the bunker and it takes a giant leap of imagination to get from a museum in Russia to him living a life in Argentina. Yeah. Anyways, this is the way that they'll spin these things. You know, they want us to believe the boogeymans are real. They also want us to believe that the boogeymans have been killed, and that they always get what they deserve in the end. But that's not true at all. And I wouldn't be the least bit surprised. In fact, it goes along with a lot of historical wars in studying history, as I've done back in university. You learn that a lot of these sweetheart deals are made. People are allowed to go and live their lives off. This happened in Roman times a lot too. And so I wouldn't be the least bit surprised. And considering that probably a lot of people looked up to Hitler then, and at that point in time as well, the extent of the Holocaust, which probably wasn't even named at that point, was not known. And I'm not going to get into the Holocaust and whether that has been a huge exaggeration or not, because I have too much respect for all the people that suffered at the hands of the Nazi regime, not to mention Stalin and all the other crap that went on. But my mind is always open. Anyways, I think it's an interesting thing. I will leave all the links below. I'd love to hear your comments, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.